Welcome to episode 107 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies, plus tips, apps, and gear. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host is back, Warren Sklar. How you doing? What's going on?
I am back. I'm trying to think why I wasn't around last week.
You had too many people at your.
I had people. That's right. At the beach house. Yeah. All right.
Then I ended up recording 2 episodes in 1 week. So
yeah,
I was a little crazy, but my thanks to Joe Kiesel, and he came on and we had a great discussion about making iPad your full-time device, and then my friend Bob Fairbairn. So you got two bonus episodes in 1 week, but
so my body wasn't even cold.
Yeah, but you're back.
So
but
back.
I am so thrilled. We have a great guest this week, Mr. Jeff Gamet. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great, and it's great to see both of you. And thanks for inviting me on.
Absolutely. I've been meaning to invite you on the show for like forever, and we're at 107 episodes now. So I know I'm gonna go back. I think we met for the first time at MacStock, and I think a lot of people I've met at MacStock and have lots of great friends now, and you of course are one of them on that list, and appreciate that, and you helping us out with stuff, and I'm glad you're going to be here. But we'll talk a little bit more about you once we get through all the stuff we got to talk about today. We got a pretty full show here, lots of news this week, and some apps to talk about, and of course beta, because Warren loves beta.
Oh, we all love beta now. Now I'm not alone.
But you live in beta, so.
Well, no.
And I always make fun of you for doing that. So, but let's go ahead and just dig right into some of the news here, and then I've got some news stories towards the end about all the beta stuff that's been released this week. First story was there was a bug actually found in Apple Music, an app bug that actually was reportedly causing sporadic battery drain. And I'm like, my 11 Pro Max, I had started noticing a little bit of battery drain, especially since I was using. I've been using the music app fairly frequently with my HomePods and my Sonos Move, and so the article here and Apple Insider. It was following the release of 13.5.1. Some users had reported that Apple's music app would appear to be causing steep battery drain, and many reports claimed that the drain happened regardless if the music app was not being used. Yeah, what a surprise. The music app seems like it's always being used, because I always, when I go in my car and it connects to Bluetooth, it always starts playing music, which I don't want it to do. So, Jeff, what did you think about this?
When I saw the article, my first thought was, oh, now I get why my battery is draining so fast on my iPhone. And I went and checked in the battery settings.
Yep.
Negligible for the music app for me, which I found to be surprising. So it turns out my real problem is Mobile Safari and Tweetbot, which is probably more an indication of how I'm using my phone.
Yeah. That is true. Same here, but I am using the music app, so I'm hoping that they resolved this. But Warren, have you seen any of it? Well, you don't see any of this because you're on iOS 14.
No, I just laughed. I laughed at them because I had a million other problems on my own, but not that one.
Yeah, it's 14.
Yeah, but there's I think today they released the Gold Master of.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, but this will tie into the fixing of that issue that people are having. So I'm just going to slide that in a little bit.
Right.
Yes, soon it's going to be fixed if you're still having that problem. So hold tight.
So was that a spoiler?
Spoiler,
kinda.
Yes.
Kind of, because I got us a lead into all the beta discussion here. So as you see in the notes, that's why I wanted to.
Less of a beta discussion, more of a fix for this particular issue that you might be having.
That is true. All right. There is going to be a release. Yeah, we'll talk about 13.6 shortly here. Next story. This was an iMore.com. Consumers have spent over $17 billion through the App Store in the quarter 2 of 2020. That is all-time high. I wonder why. Because everybody's in quarantine and wants to buy apps and download things, I would think. They said mobile app usage in itself is just at an all-time high right now. According to a new report, this is from analytics from App Annie, that downloads have just increased exponentially. It's just crazy. Even Google Play on the Android side has been very busy. But this is impressive to see what this is doing, and Apple is just happy to see more money coming in for them because that's all going right into their 30% of the App Store. Warren, what'd you think of this?
Yeah, it's not much else to do. So people are, they're grasping at straws. I'm doing it too. I mean, on my iOS device, I'm starting to look for things that I haven't done in a while because, we got the time. Not finding much though in the way of anything. We've been doing this for a long time, and by this time, you and I and our guests, I'm sure, and everybody who's probably listening, we have our collection. We have a pretty good collection of what we like at this point, and was an influx of those apps coming out, way back, and it's kind of hard for new things to come along these days. So we keep looking. It's not Quibi, I'll tell you that much.
And I purposely avoided not putting that article in this week just for that reason. We can mention it a little bit, but what do you think about this, Jeff?
I think that it's a surprise that I've actually been buying so many apps that have pushed up Apple's App Store stats that high.
Yeah, you must have been the big influencer of increasing.
Yeah, I'm sure it was all me. It's when you're at home and you suddenly have a lot more free time than you previously had, it's a lot easier to just tap by when you get a message from a friend saying, hey, I'm trying out this cool app and I think you'd like it. Or someone sends you a message and says, I'm having a problem. Do you know how to do this thing in this app? And, and my first answer would be, no, I don't have the app. But no, of course, I go buy the app, figure it out, and then send them a message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
yeah. It's great. I mean, I'm glad to see App Store keeps going because that's important. Keeps iOS growing, keeps the environment going. So, next story. This was in our favorite place, the Mac Observer. Tom Hanks is actually thrilled that Greyhound, the movie, is coming out on Apple TV Plus. No, he really is, because at first Tom had said, "Yeah, I'm not too happy. I wish it was in the theaters. It's not going to be a good experience." And Apple didn't do a very good job with the sound. And then he changed gears and had another interview the next day and says, "Oh no, I'm absolutely thrilled about how Apple TV is going to be showing our movie, and for the first time." But I'm kind of excited about it. I think this is great to have a major motion picture like this that was supposed to go out into the theaters is going to be the first time premiere for Apple TV. If anything, it's going to be a great thing for Apple, and I'm pretty excited about it. And Tom Hanks, of course, one of the more amazing actors out there. And Jeff, what do you think of this?
Well, Tom, switching gears so quickly, I would love to know what happened because Tom Hanks is one of those people that comes across to me as nice and honest as anyone can possibly be. So if he switched gears that quickly, my guess is that someone said, actually, Tom, hold on. We need to show you what we've done and explain all of this. And when he saw all of it, then he changed his mind. But the other part of it is this is releasing on Apple TV. This is great for Apple. Having these feature movies that fall under their umbrella, I mean, that adds a lot of street cred to Apple TV.
Oh, big time.
And the other movie that they have, and I cannot remember the name of it. It's the banker movie.
Oh, yeah. It's called The Banker, I think.
There we go. See, that's why I'm having a hard time remembering it because the name describes it, and apparently my brain doesn't work right. But yeah, they have these two movies. This is great.
Absolutely. What do you think, Warren?
I like to think that Tim Cook made a nice phone call in the middle of the night to Tom Hanks and had a conversation, saying, kind of a Godfather kind of situation. But Tom Hanks looks over and there's a horse's head in his bed, and Tim Cook's like hits her on the head, and Tom's like, I gotta fix that.
Yeah.
I get what he's. I mean, real quick, I get Tom Hanks's point. I mean, you're an actor. You make a big budget film, and you envision it being on a big screen. Hey, you want it on an IMAX screen if you can. I mean, that's what they do, and that's why they do it. It's called a small screen for a reason. And when he came back yesterday or today to kind of reiterate things, I think it was more like, yeah, it would have been great to be on a big screen, but thank you, Apple, for letting this happen at all, because without this, it wouldn't even happen. And that's where he kind of backed up and said, it's great that we could do this in this kind of time, because, home streaming was, I think it was just kind of popped out when this started happening. I think the Trolls movie was the first one to do it. Right. And I think they kind of it was probably like a late night, executive meeting somewhere saying, what are we going to do? Movie theaters are closing, and they're like, all right, we're either going to put this out to people somehow or we're not. And they made that decision. And I think now, it saved the industry a bit, and no, not completely, but it's better than nothing. I think it's the quote Tom gave.
I think this is the beginning of a slow but big shift in the cinematic movie industry, and I think we're going to see more movies that are photographed and edited and designed so that they can be on a big screen, but so that they also present well in a home theater situation. And we'll be seeing a lot more movies released as either streaming first or streaming and in theaters simultaneously, and not in the I don't want to say the cheap movie way, but like in the B movie way. Okay. Like first run. High quality summer blockbuster type movies, the real big budget stuff. Right. I think we're going to see more movies as a streaming option for that.
Yeah. And people will pay, I think I read people will pay like $30 or $40 to watch I think there was a survey went out that they would pay like $40 to see a first run movie at home.
Well, that's still cheaper than taking your family to the theater.
You start adding things up. Yeah. I mean, if you go to movies by yourself, maybe not so much.
They're doing it right now with the drive-in theaters are all of a sudden becoming hot, popular things again. Which people there was a dying breed. I mean, what was it? Blake Shelton has a concert coming out. He's charging $116 a carload. So you get 5-6 people in the car, you divide that up, and that's next to nothing. So,
and the audio quality is no better than the radio in your car.
That's the other thing. Unless they've changed things, I doubt it. Other thing I was going to mention too, with just online, is Hamilton. Obviously, was a big thing on Disney Plus. They didn't even announce how many people have watched it over the last week, but and they aren't going to. They're going to wait until the
or multiple times like me.
Yeah, the profit results come out, so they can really prove how worthy Disney is of them scoring this $75 million deal they signed with the production of Hamilton. So I think it's an exciting space. I think, and I talked about it last week on the episode with talking about Apple TV and content and all that stuff. And it's an interesting topic, and I think we're definitely going to see more and more of this now with the way things are going with the COVID and the pandemic. So. And quarantine, I should say. But anyway, let's move on. Next topic was Apple. The iPhone trade-in prices are being cut. This was on Mac Observer as well. our friend Charlotte Henry. She wrote up an article here saying there's a list here of all the prices have now dropped on some of these older iPhones that you trade in. So like the 10s Max, which I used to have, is now down $50. Now it's at $450 as an example. The 10R down to $270, dropped $30. So there's a whole list here on the site. We'll have a link in the show notes, of course. But yeah, prices are starting to drop a little bit on the old models. Jeff, what do you think on this?
I think that, well, first, Charlotte is awesome. I just love her. She's the best. But on the story, trading in your iPhone or your iPad, and then getting this alert, hey, prices are coming down on what you can get for them. What that telegraphs to me is it was a really bad idea to trade in your device to begin with, and now it's an even worse idea because Apple is going to offer you so little for the device that, well, like in my case, when I consider trading in an iPad Pro to get a new iPad Pro, and they told me what they would give me for it, $70. I laughed. I'm like, no, really? Yeah. And they said, no, $70. So even though it's a little more work, sell it on eBay or Craigslist or something like that. Or what I ended up doing was just giving my old iPad to someone that needed it.
There you go. Warren, your thoughts?
Just advice actually is, it's good advice. When you hear rumors of a new device coming out, and I've done this several times, if you go to some of the online trading sites like Gazelle and a couple of the other ones like that, those quotes stay pretty good for like 30 days. And if you hear a rumor, if you have a thought that maybe you want to do it, get that quote soon, because I've played the trade-in lottery that way and actually won out where, I think I put my watch up, got a quote for it. And then when the new watch came out and dropped, the quote went way down, but I was still good on that initial quote. So, if you can find a place that holds the quotes for you a little bit, do it as soon as you think you might want to do it. If there's a rumor of a new device.
Yep. All right. Let's next story. This was in Mac Observer again. Andrew Orr, our other good friend here. He wrote an article about the Logitech. Logitech has launched a new mouse and keyboards specifically for Apple devices. This is kind of the newest additions. This is their Master Series, the MX series, the Bluetooth devices. They're beautiful keyboards and a really nice mouse too, and give you a lot of flexibility. And the only reason I wanted to bring this up is because these also work with the iPad, because as we know, the iPad has the touchpad and keyboard capabilities. Only thing is, they're a little pricey. They're about $99. They're about $99 per device, pretty much. And there is a new smaller keyboard, Bluetooth. There was a K380. They just came out with a white version of it. I've got the blue one actually. That one's cheap. That's around $35 or $40. So, Jeff, what'd you think?
I love seeing options.
Me too.
Because for me, keyboards and pointing devices, they're like shoes. Just because a pair of shoes is comfortable for me doesn't mean it'll be comfortable for you. So same thing applies to keyboards and pointing devices. Even though you don't wear them, you need to have options so you can find the thing that works best for you. And I know a lot of people that just love the Logitech devices like that. And I'm not one of their keyboard users, but I've used some of their mice in the past, and the ones that are ambidextrous, those I liked. I'm left-handed, so
yeah, me too.
Yeah, so if you want to use a right-handed device, holy crap, Logitech makes some awesome stuff. If you want to use a left-handed device, your options are a little more limited, but yeah, they make good stuff. So I'm happy to see more options coming out so that people can find the right gear for them.
Absolutely. Any thoughts, Warren?
No, I saw a review once on the MX3 laser mouse, and it made me really want to get one. But I have the the laptops with trackpad. I don't own a desktop.
Right.
So I mean, my thought on this is really, if you take an iPad Pro, put a hub on it, connect it to a monitor, get your Logitech combo out. That's looking pretty sweet, actually. If you could, they might actually have. I mean, so the initial thought is the mouse somehow has to recognize and accept the swipes, because that's basically everything on iPad OS at this point with the trackpad, right? It's swipe up, swipe down, swipe left. And I think I told you when before the Magic Keyboard came out, I had a it was a Logitech, but it was almost like a Magic Mouse. I had the glass top where I was able to do some of the swipes on the top of the mouse. So I'm wondering if they incorporate all the gestures somehow into this set, if they're advertising it for iPad OS, which would be really cool.
Yeah, but it's pretty much a lot with Mac, so it's going to probably be much more ideal for Mac users than on iPad. But at least you've got other options. But we've got our Magic Keyboards, so we love those. So
now that you bring it up from that perspective, I'm curious to see how many companies start coming out with really innovative keyboard, trackpad combo devices for the iPad.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should. I mean,
they should start, because more and more it could become a full-time device, as we
I agree.
talked about. So. Next story, Mac Observer as well. Which apps were spying on you on your iOS clipboard? This was quite a topic this last week or two. We know TikTok, surprise, was one of them that was copying the contents of your clipboard in iOS beta 14. It was when it was recognized. LinkedIn was another one, which I was very surprised about. Microsoft is owned by them, and but they could copy these things very easily, such as PIN numbers, credit card information, social security numbers, all that stuff could happen. And there's a link here that actually shows some of the other apps that were out there as well. Even I think Reddit had the problem, and others. There's a link in the show notes here if you take a look at that. Jeff, what did you think of this? I was a little surprised, honestly.
I was surprised. I was also quite appalled.
That too.
I mean, there are certain apps where I expected to get your clipboard has been copied notice. Like when I'm using Flipboard, because it always checks to see if you have a URL in the clipboard, and so that one didn't surprise me. But yeah, a lot of other apps that were just like constantly grabbing the clipboard contents. That was very uncool. And there's a lot of companies that need to update their apps immediately, because there's a lot of people that are going to start giving them really bad press if they don't.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more. Warren, what's your thoughts, Mr. Beta?
I'm a little less harsh on these people, on these developers. I think it was Reddit said, we're going to fix it, but it's not as malicious as it sounds. We do it for there's reasons that they do it. I think one of them, I think TikTok initially said they did it because it cuts down on spam posts, because they could see how many times people are posting. In my heart, I don't believe that these companies are doing anything sneaky with it. I think it's possibly just lazy programming on a lot of parts. And I think as technology, especially Apple, who's really good at doing this privacy things, as they come up with new ways to expose what the apps are doing more, because that's Apple's thing. At this point, they're saying iOS is only as secure as the apps, and the best we can tell you at this point is everything we know that the app is doing, we're going to let you know to the point that you want to know. And if we tell you too much, you're going to yell at us too, because you don't want to keep telling us it's okay. But it's I don't think it's malicious. I think it's just the way things are programmed. And maybe not TikTok. I'm a little concerned about that, but the other two, I really don't think it was. It was just something that they just need to fix. And I think I think going forward, if a new app is released now and new app update is out, and it has a problem, I think you're going to yell at the developers at this point because they know now it's out there. But yeah, I don't think it's malicious, to be honest with you.
Okay.
By the time iOS 14 rolls out, I want someone to have a clipboard of shame list up and running so that we can keep track of all of the iOS apps that are needlessly accessing the clipboard.
Yeah, give them the 4 months to get their ducks in order with the whip their developers into shape. As I said, this is not going to be the last time something's going to be exposed by some programming or updating on the operating system level. It's just if you think of how much an app knows about what you're doing, your brain would explode, because I'm sure copying the clipboard on like TikTok or LinkedIn is like the least amount of like things you should be concerned about. That's what it's doing. You just don't know it because it's we don't know it.
Yeah. All right. Next story. Apple updated the iWork apps, which includes Pages, Keynote, and Numbers. They added iBooks author translation, the iBooks author transition because it's being discontinued. Then they have included YouTube and Vimeo embeds, and they did do these updates for iOS too. That's why I brought the article on here. So it looks like now you actually can play YouTube videos and Vimeo videos right from within your documents, which is great. That's a nice new feature I like to see. And you're able to do this all on iOS and iPad OS as well. And iPad OS is great with all three of these apps. I think I've done plenty of editing with them before, and I think it is really great. Jeff, what you think?
Yeah, I love seeing the new features roll out. Yeah. And I do have a little bit of a complaint. Okay. And when I looked at the release note, just the basic information for the Mac versions of the iWork apps, it said that some of the features were Mac specific, and or maybe it was the other way. When I looked at it on iOS, it said some of the features were not available on iPad and iPhone. And my first thought was, seriously? You guys gutted the iWork apps on the Mac several years ago for feature parity across all the devices, and now you don't have feature parity.
Yep, that does sound familiar, because Microsoft's done that plenty of times too.
Yeah, just very frustrating.
Mac and Windows. What'd you think, Warren?
And Microsoft, the web version of also, it just reminded me of a story of like the support I do now. People will call me up and say I can't do anything. I walk over and I'm using the web version of Microsoft Office, and I'm like, get off the open Word, you dummy. The only thing I have to add to that is if you are on Big Sur, the app updates will not show in the App Store. You have to actually go in there and type in Pages, Keynote, and then click on that and do the update from there. So
they didn't show up in Catalina for me.
Did you? So if you click on the actual app in the App Store, it will change from open and then switch over to update right away. So if that's
well, the way I realized that the updates were there before seeing any of the articles was I launched Numbers, and I got a dialogue on screen that's, hey, there's an update. Do you want to go to the App Store and get it? Yeah. And I did. And then I checked for other updates. Nothing showed up. And then went and looked. And, of course, Pages and Keynote had updates as well.
Right. See, so it's not even a Big Sur bug. It's a bug.
It's just a bug.
There you go.
All right. Speaking of bugs, here comes our discussion on beta. First story I wanted to hit on was about the HomePod. This is Mac Rumors. The HomePod Beta 2 adds option to select new default services for music, podcasts, and audiobooks. Apple has provided HomePod Beta software to a select Apple seed of testers. So even Morin doesn't have access to this. Unless he does, and I don't know about it. Released a second version of the HomePod update. Yeah, I figured you would. Here in the article, it does show the choices you can actually change your primary service from Apple Music to probably Spotify and a lot of others. And you're also allowed to make changes as far as being able to set what audiobooks are played, probably like some of the other services that are out there, and as well as giving you good access to stuff. So, Jeff, what'd you think?
I think this is great.
Yeah, me too.
I really do. The motives behind doing this, I would like to think it's because Apple knows that people want to have more options, and that makes it more likely that they will either get a HomePod or continue to use the HomePod they have. There's a part of me that does wonder if this is a preemptive move to try and avoid ongoing litigation over monopoly practices and claims that they're strong-arming other companies out of the market. But regardless of why it happened, this is great. I'm glad to see that option there.
Yep. And Warren, your thoughts?
My thoughts doesn't really interest me. I just want my my AirPods Pro to be spatially aware, and I'm waiting for that. And they're still not spatially aware yet, so that's a problem.
Then we'll move on.
Yeah.
So let's dig right into the betas. The Gold Master release, because we got two betas going on right now, iOS 13.6, and besides iOS 14. Apple just released the GM betas, which is Gold Master of iOS 13.6, iPadOS 13.6, tvOS 13.4.8, and watchOS 6.2.8, and of course Mac as well. So now this is probably going to be the final rounds of betas. I would think they want to close this out because they can bring the focus over to iOS 14. What'd you think, Warren?
Yeah, it should be the end. I mean, we keep saying this, for the last 2 months. We've been saying this is going to be the end of the cycle for 10.13, but in a never-ending cycle. It seems to be the way iOS 10.13 went for the most part. Yeah, what is this? Car key support for the most part, I think is what it is, which is, I guess, what they're pushing out. And Gold Master usually is a week before public. So what's today? Monday, Wednesday, Thursday? It's Thursday. Tuesday or Wednesday.
It's pandemic time. It's whatever you want it to be.
Yes. I think somebody said Blur's Day. It's Blur's Day. So Tuesday or Wednesday, I guess, probably I would put my money on seeing the final release come out for that.
All right. Any thoughts on that, Jeff?
I've been running the iOS 13 betas on my 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and it's been such a stable release that I had actually forgotten I was running a beta until I got the update today saying, hey, new 13.6 release or update. And so great. I don't think there's going to be anything that delays this from becoming a public release in a few days.
Yeah, I'd say by next week we should have it in our downloads. And then next story, this is in Mac Rumors. Apple has seeded the first betas for the public. So public beta testers, you are out there. Let the wild, crazy things begin here. Those of you who had signed up for Apple's beta testing program for public, you now are going to be able to have the certificate, be able to download the public beta from the website, and get it installed on your devices if you so choose. Again, disclaimer, I always tell you, do not put this on a production device. Again, do not put this on a production device. Because you'll be unhappy, and it won't be like Warren, who lives on the edge and has
I'm always happy. Do it.
So
just do it.
So what do you think, Warren? You got the public out here now. They have real access.
Yeah, it's been quieter than I thought it was going to be. I haven't seen that much going on. I think people are just coming home from work because it just came out. So I think they're starting on beta 2 is basically what I read. So they're starting on the second one. And unlike iOS 13 when it started out, that was painful. Those betas were tough, and
it's the first beta.
These are but these so far it's been pretty good. I think I posted. I noticed zero difference on all the betas between the watch, the phone, and the on the Mac between the initial release and beta 2. To be honest with you, I was hoping it was going to fix one app that keeps crashing on me that I use, but it hasn't. So I haven't noticed much. Again, back up first if you're going to do it. Don't do it on a production machine.
The watch. That.
Well, I mean, do what does Dave Hamilton say? Don't do what I do. Do what I say, not what I do. I think is what he says.
That's really good advice.
Yes, especially for
never
us.
Do what Dave does. Just do what he says.
I just do what he says. I don't listen to him. Can't play the drums either. But yeah, so back up. I don't think there's a watch one out yet. The watch drop today.
I thought it was supposed to. There was supposed to be this actually was going to be the first time ever that they offered a public beta for Watch OS 7.
Okay, so with the watch, be careful. It's like a tattoo. That stuff is permanent.
You can't roll back.
There's no rolling back. Everything else you can roll back if you need to, but once you do the watch, you can't roll that back, and then you're locked to it because the iOS, your phone won't work with your watch if you're on iOS 13, and the watch is on the new Watch 7. So you gotta think about that. But other than that, this is and don't complain to us about the problems. Complain to Apple.
Yes,
that's my big advice. People on the groups and the Twitters and the Facebook saying this doesn't work. Yes, we know it doesn't work. Tell feedback. So,
and Jeff, you have a developer's account like us, right?
Yes. Okay. So I've been running dev beta on 2 iPads since the day it was released. Okay. It is not on my iPhone because my iPhone is mission critical. It is not on my Apple Watch because that's just a giant bucket of nope, not going there. That's a one-way path I am not going to walk down. But with the developer betas on my iPads, and I look at this as a beta because that's what it is. I'm very pleased with where the beta is at this point. There's stuff that isn't working consistently for me. There's stuff where I can see they probably just slap something in as a placeholder while they work on getting whatever graphics or other elements they need to finish up the feature, and that's fine. Scribble, not all of the features in Scribble are working for me. And I'm not complaining because it's beta. So
that's correct.
The sad thing for me is doing exactly what you should never do, which is read the comments on an article and seeing people saying, this feels rushed. I can't believe they released this. It doesn't feel finished. And these are people that aren't getting what beta means. I blame Google for this because everything that Google releases for general use is pretty much listed as beta. And so they've instilled this idea that beta is something that is production ready. And while I'm very pleased with the state of iOS 14 and Big Sur, I wouldn't put these on any of my production devices. They're beta. And
exactly.
But I like where we are right now, which is great because at this point in iOS 13 and Catalina beta cycle, I was very concerned about when the official releases rolled out, how they would perform. And actually, for some people, I'm still telling them don't install Catalina. You're just going to skip it.
Don't install Catalina or Big Sur?
Catalina.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So stay on Mojave.
Yeah, if you're on Mojave, stay on Mojave, and then see how Big Sur shakes out when it's a public release, and then decide if you want to upgrade to that. Just skip Catalina.
We're all just we're home anyways. I mean, what's worse that can happen? Just if you need, if your phone breaks, we have home phones. We're not leaving the house.
I don't understand this term home phone.
Yeah, what are you in the 80s?
It's a thing that I never got rid of. That just wants to sell.
Oh, it's right next to your VCR.
Yeah, it's the thing. It's the thing that wants to sell me my extended car warranty like constantly, all day, every day, 5 times a day.
All right, so that was a good discussion about the news. Let's move on. And actually, I want people to find out more about Jeff. And Jeff, we again appreciate you being here. I know like I said, like I mentioned at the top of the show, you and I met at Mac Stock. That was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we got to meet and had a lot of great times and got to know each other. And you're great in the Apple community. You obviously had a lot of great career with the Mac Observer, and I always listened to you all the time when you were on the daily observations. And you've got some great stuff, and then I think it's good to know that people know a little bit about you and what you're doing now. I guess obviously, you said you're a free agent and you want to looking to go back into podcasting. So tell us all about you.
Okay, so yeah, I'm back in the free agent market, and I'm still deciding to a degree what it is that I want to do, whatever it is. Of course, I'm going to stay in the Apple and the Mac community, because how could I not? I am just about ready to launch a new podcast, which of course I'm excited about. Otherwise, why would I even do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm keeping a lookout for whatever the right opportunity is, because
Sure.
I have a certain skill set that should be exploited in the right ways, and and I have the luxury of being able to figure out exactly what that's going to include next. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I always done this every time that we've had a first guest. I know you pretty much have everything in the iOS world. Which iPhone do you have?
This will come as a surprise. I'm still rocking an iPhone 10.
Okay. I have the 10. That's a good phone.
And well, the reason I say it'll come as a surprise is because people assume that I always have whatever the most current device is. But as each phone has come out since the iPhone 10, I thought that would be really cool to have. And I'm going to wait and see what the next model is. So the iPhone 12, that's probably going to be an upgrade that I just can't pass up.
So Warren and I are we're always ones that get the latest, greatest. So Warren buys a MacBook every other day, but that's another story.
Maybe not for a couple of years at this point, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. He won't be because of Apple Silicon, but anyway, that's a whole other story. We also go with iPhone, because I trade it in every year. I'm on the trade-in plan, so it works out well for me as far as that goes. So that's why I end up being on a new phone every year. So because of that reason. So basically, I guess I'm renting the phone. That's usually what people say.
I was doing the rent-a-phone through AT&T's program, and when Apple rolled out their new phones after the iPhone 10, I got on the website. I was ready to place my order, and they said, "Oh, yeah, well, you're going to have to pay us an extra $600." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Well, there was the lag time, so it took longer for the iPhone 10 to come out, and which shortened up the time for the 10s, and with that and the price that they were going to charge me for the privilege of giving them back a phone and getting a new one, I thought, an iPhone 10s suddenly doesn't seem that valuable to me. And then when the 11 rolled out, and by that point I'd paid off my phone, I almost got one, and I thought, I don't have a phone payment right now. This phone is still working really well, and the only thing I'm looking at on this phone as a reason to upgrade is the camera. Totally valid reason to get a brand new phone. And I almost did it. And I thought, at this point, why don't I just wait a little bit longer? And because it's not like I was in a position where I really, really, really had to have a new phone. So I thought, okay, when the 12 comes out, there'll be something really cool in that, and the camera will be even better, and I won't be able to resist.
Yeah. And iPad, you have, which iPad do you have?
I actually have 3.
Oh, wow. You're a beta tester.
Yeah, well, and when you spend as much time in tech journalism as I did, you end up getting a lot of equipment because you need to be able to try a lot of different things.
That's true.
So I have iPad Mini 4. I have a 9.7-inch iPad Pro and a 12.9-inch iPad Pro.
Nice.
Which means that I also get to have a first-gen and second-gen Apple Pencil.
There you go. You get to try them both.
I've got it all covered.
You. And then Apple Watch, what series are you on that one?
I am on, I've lost track now. Is 5 the current model?
5's current. I have 4.
And so I'm on a 4. The 5 looked really compelling. And then at the same time, I thought, wait a second. If I'm only getting this for the always-on display, that's a really foolish reason for me to upgrade.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with the next Apple Watch, and then maybe it'll be time to upgrade.
Absolutely. Then Apple TV, I'm sure you have a 4K.
I have the HD, but that's because I don't have a 4K TV. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so I thought, why should I upgrade that? And yes, I have a HomePod.
Okay, I've got 2.
It's for my space, 1 is plenty.
Yeah.
And then a 16-inch MacBook Pro.
All right, great. So you are all in. That's why it's great to have you on the show, because you are just going to tell us everything there is to know about Apple.
I am so committed to the Apple ecosystem.
Yes, just like us. What were you going to say, Warren?
I said he could hang with us now. So.
Yes, he can.
Oh man, I'm so glad that I passed the test.
Although the Series 5, you got to be in the Series 5. Actually, I was not going to get to. I had to 4. I was not going to get to 5, except my wife needed something to buy me for my birthday, and it happened to coincide. So
I told you, he always finds a way.
That is so romantic.
I'm not going to pass up a free watch. So, there's...
No, that would just be foolish.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks. We appreciate you being here, Jeff, and I think it'll be coming back a lot more times, too. So we should appreciate you coming on the show. And then, we're having a lot of fun here. So let's go ahead and get back in some of our topics here. One topic I wanted to touch on, and people were kind of talking about, I think we've talked about beta enough here, so I think we've talked that out for a while here. Yes. The iPhone 12, obviously there are lots of rumors about the iPhone 12's imminent release. But there's been quite a debate about the fact that Apple's potentially considering not including the charger in the box, which I'm not all surprised because, I could probably go find a box, and I'm sure many of us can, filled with these chargers that we never use. In fact, Apple even sent out a survey to select people, and they published that out asking, what do you do with the charger? Do you use it or do you not use it? And so I wanted to hear, Jeff, what your thoughts on this topic is because it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens.
My first thought was, holy crap, what are you thinking? No. And then my second thought was, wait a second, before I go all emotional on this, I need to do some due diligence and do some research. And part of my holy crap response was because Amazon has been releasing Kindles for a while without chargers, and people weren't understanding what was going on. And before long, they had a Kindle that they actually couldn't use and had no idea why. And that's bad message delivery. But it turns out that Apple is not an innovator in this space.
Right.
O2, I think it was O2, did a test program. I think it was in 2013. With 1 or 2 cell phone makers where they were selling their phones without chargers. And their plan was, because the program actually went really well. It's like 70% of the people buying the phones didn't care because they had chargers. And for the other 30%, they were able to get chargers for cheap. And so their plan was they were going to phase out chargers with all phones that they sell by 2015. And they were totally on track for that. And then it ended up not happening, and I'm not sure why. But the notion of selling a phone without a charger, this isn't new. And apparently it worked really well in the UK. So I don't like the idea of having a phone sold to me without a charger, because what if I'm traveling and I have lost my phone and I have to replace it, and I'm literally starting from scratch? Do I now have to turn around and go buy a charger just so I can use a brand new phone, like salt in the wound? But the reality is I probably have a charger in all of my travel stuff. And True. I have a lot of chargers sitting around. So coming into a smartphone at this point in the game, without having a charger, you probably already have some sitting around. If you're totally brand new to this, well, now you're going to have to buy a charger.
Oh, well, I guess I'll have to do it. Warren, what was your thoughts on do you think this is a good idea that Apple does this?
I mean, obviously it's all kind of rumory now, and they also initially said, no, well, Apple didn't say anything. People were saying that initially that maybe we'll cut the cost of the phone. Then they were saying maybe without including the charger and the headphones, that it's going to be the same price as last year's model, even though it's going to be a more expensive product. Now they're saying it's going to be more expensive. So then people don't know what the price is going to be. Obviously, a lot of people, probably 98% of the people don't care because they already have it. Some people have millions of chargers and still care because they just think it's stingy and they like free stuff, or they don't like to pay for things that they don't need to. Apple could do something like, when you order the phone that, for an extra like $5, you could get the charger if you want it. I think if they say you could get it for free if you buy it, if you're optional, everybody's going to do it just because, hey, free charger. Yeah. But,
right.
But I think if they do it like for a low, like $5, I think a lot of people won't do it. I wouldn't, I wouldn't pay the extra $5 for the charger because I have them. So something like that's not a horrible idea to get people from doing that. And obviously they're talking about the headphones too being gone. Yeah, I mean, it won't bother me at all. It will bother people. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens. I know, again, like you said, the key word is rumor. It is a rumor. Mm-hmm. But Apple did officially send out a survey asking people to select few people, asking do they really think they're going to need their adapter. So it kind of has some it has some potential realization that it's possible they're going to do it. So. Next topic I want to talk about real quick is about the Find My app. And I've talked about the Find My app lots of times, how valuable it really is. Being able to find your devices just by opening up the app, whether it be on a website, from your iPhone, your iPad, your Apple Watch, and you actually could find where your device is and be able to open it up. I've got a link in the show notes to an article on Tidbits about this, that crowdsourcing to third-party accessories is going to be the availability, which this was kind of a surprising thing for me to see, because Apple has never been known to open up to third-party developers when it comes to their technologies, but they, in this case, decided to do this. Jeff, you took a look at this, and what did you think of this?
On one hand, I'm surprised, and on the other hand, this seems like a natural progression of the Find My app or the Find My service, because this is another way to really lock people into the Apple ecosystem. You're buying all these other accessories. Now you can find them with your iPhone. Also, this fits in nicely with the rumor that Apple is going to release their own Tile competitor.
Yeah.
But hey, if Tile can link directly into Apple's Find My app, and now I have a single repository for tracking all of my devices, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. We'll see. So we'll see where it goes. Any thoughts on that, Warren?
No, just see how it goes. I know Apple's Find My system it uses all sorts of Wi-Fi's and Bluetooth and the low frequency Bluetooth, and that's why right now it's so much better than Tile, is because even though there's no, the idea of it is even though there's not going to be a GPS in it or cellular system in there or something like that, it basically will find any iOS device in the wild and kind of ping its location through its Apple servers and find and tell it where it is. So just the fact that everybody has an Apple phone or some kind of Apple device is going to help. So it should be a good, it's good for people who's wants to add trackers to pretty much anything, which is probably not a bad idea at this point.
All right. And then next topic I wanted to bring up, and I just actually found out about this today. I know, Warren, you're a subscriber to SetApp, the great Mac app service that gives you a huge suite of apps. Are you as well, Jeff?
Of course.
I figured as much. And I was super thrilled to find out today that SetApp has now opened up a beta testing process. You can put your SetApp app into beta. And then you also can now download and test iOS apps in SetApp. I'm like, this is so cool. This is going to add even more incredible value to what SetApp can do. If you can do not only your Mac apps, which with the catalog itself is just mind-boggling how much great stuff they have. But now that they can do it with iOS, right now they've got 5 apps that they started off with, and MindNode was one of them. I had that's it assesses all your thoughts and processes with a MindNode, and then you had Pace, which was a clipboard reader, and there's a SQL Pro Studio if you're a SQL database editor, and then there's 5 total so far, but the whole process is so cool. All you have to do is you go into SetApp in your Mac, and then you open up. There's a section there. It says available iOS apps. Click that, then these 5 come up. You click the app, and then all of a sudden there's a button there, iOS app. Click it, then it has a QR code. So then you take your iPhone, you scan the QR code, and then it installs it because it brings you to the App Store. Then it installs the app onto your iPhone, and then there's a little button you click, and it says you got to scan this a second time. This will open up to the full version because it only gives you the trial version if you don't do that. Scan that, and voila, you have an app that's on your iOS device that is readily available. And I'm hoping to see a lot more apps that come into this catalog, and worked super well. I was very impressed. I just did this within the last hour, so that's all real new to me. Jeff, what did you think about this? I assume this was a surprise to you when you found out about this today.
It was a surprise to me, and so I heard about this just a little while ago today. Haven't had a chance to try it out yet. And the funny thing is, I saw in the settings a day or two ago the new beta option.
Yeah.
And I was busy at the time, and I thought, I need to come back and check this out. So in reality, I should know much more about this at this point, but here we are. But the whole idea of being able to do the whole SetApp thing on my iPhone or iPad is very compelling, because SetApp has proven that they have a model that works well. So I like being able to carry that over to the iPhone and the iPad. And I think it's so cool that they figured out how to make this work without having to sideload. So that means there's no hacks. No. And as long as they're not having to do some sneaky under the hood thing with provisioning, I think this is great. And if they were having to do something with provisioning, then I could see Apple at some point shutting this whole thing down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
But since that's not what's happening, this is great. I am looking forward to seeing more apps show up in SetApp for iOS. And I think this has a high likelihood of being very successful, just like it is on the Mac.
It is, and as I described how it works, I mean, I'm looking at it now. You don't even have to. You can go and get the app now, and then just go to step 2 and scan to make it the full version, like the app Paste, which is a smart clipboard viewer that works on both Mac and iOS. You can scan the second code, and then it just makes it a full version. So you don't even have to go to that first step. You go to the second step. But this is going to be interesting too, as I think a lot along the lines of with Apple Silicon and Mac and iOS and Mac OS apps are going to work together. App developers can come up with these apps, and now they've got this platform already before the Apple Silicon even comes out. But then when Apple Silicon does come out, they'll already have these apps ready to go and have them on both platforms. So,
yep, I think that's great.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Warren? I know it's still new to you as well. Again,
no,
here I was feverishly getting it installed, so I was able to bring the information to everybody today. So
I am. I'm excited for it, and SetApp is a quality app.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a little worried that Apple's going to Sherlock them eventually with the Mac App Store and the unified thing. And I could see them, if they wanted to do a subscription app thing in their little world, like Apple Arcade, I could kind of see them doing that at some point too, which is what SetApp is doing. And that would be interesting, because a lot of people, they really are trying to get people in the Mac App Store, developers, and the developers seem to avoid it like the plague for many reasons, mainly because there's other ways to get their apps on the Mac other than the Mac App Store, unlike iOS. So for now, I want to see more stuff. I don't know what I want to see on it yet, but I definitely
you'll know it when you see it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'll do an inventory in my head. But yeah, if you don't have SetApp now, get SetApp. It's
you do. It's
definitely worth it. Yeah, it's worth it.
We'll put a link in the show notes. Anybody can sign up, and we'll definitely talk more about this as more apps get added. So getting close to the end of the show here, but we got a couple tips here, and then both myself and Jeff have some app picks. So I want to get to that before we wrap things up here. The first tip I have here is I know everybody's been very active using Zoom. We're on Zoom right now recording this show, and Zoom has become a phenomenon. It's just so many people are using Zoom now. And they did add a feature, which I was really excited about anytime I do presentations, that you actually can share your iPhone or your iPad screen during a Zoom meeting. Now, the way I would normally do it is I use an app called Reflector, and I would share my iPhone on the screen, because I do a lot of presentations for my Apple user group. But sometimes you may want to demonstrate it and not have to deal with any third parties. Well, now you can do it. So what you basically do is you actually go in and make sure your iPhone and your Mac are on the same network. When you go in to share your screen, you're going to see an option in Zoom that says iPhone, iPad. How cool. Click the button. Then if you don't have the plugin installed, it will require a plugin to be installed on your Mac. You install that, and voila, you've got a mirrored iPhone or iPad that's going to now work within Zoom. So it saves you on all the steps of having to share this later, and it works pretty well. I was very impressed when you share your screen in Zoom, and you're able to do this. Did you guys, Jeff, did you know this, that you were able to do this?
You just totally turned me on to something new. I've been doing like you have, using Reflector.
Yeah.
Which works great.
I love Reflector, yeah.
Yeah, but for people that aren't already using Reflector and they need to show their iPhone or iPad in a Zoom meeting, this is great. I'm glad to see this show up, and it makes sense. Streaming video conferencing services, this is the new normal for everyone. So
sure is.
So enhancing these services so that they meet people's needs is good.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Warren, on this?
No, I was just wondering if we should try it now, if that's a bad idea. It's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. You always want to do something when it's going to cause some production issues. No.
What I am curious is if you turn on your camera and do this, will it be like the camera on the phone and you share the screen? Will it do
it'll show it. Just like Reflector does.
But that'd be cool. That is cool.
Reflector does it now. Well, if I turn on my camera on Reflector, you'd be able to see me through the image on the iPhone.
So that's handy because when people, you say you want to see something and you don't feel like dragging your laptop around the house with you, that's the way to go.
Now you can do a 2-shot show.
There you go.
Could, and to prove I am wearing pants.
Yes.
All right, we're just going to hold it to that tip, and then now let's go ahead and let's move on to some app picks that we have here. Jeff, I'm going to let you go first, since you are a guest, and you've got 2 that you put down here.
Yes. One of them is new-ish, like in the last, I want to say, 2 or 3 months, and it's called Tot, T-O-T, and it's an app that you can use on your Mac and your iPhone and iPad, and think of it like a notepad, but it also does more, but it's also really simple and streamlined, so it's not a bloated thing. And you can have how many notes total? Actually, I have to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes total. And think of them as a transient workspace. So when you're done doing whatever it is that you need to keep track of, the list you need to make, the code you're writing, the article you're writing, whatever it is, then you just delete it and put something else in that note. And it's instantly synchronized between all your devices that you have Tot on. And it's one of those apps that when it came out, my first thought was, this is brilliant. I'm going to buy it and then install it and decide if I actually need it. It's just that brilliant. And I think it's like $19, but
it's really wow.
It's good for them for charging $19 for it, because it's totally worth $20. I've gotten so much more value than $20 out of this since I've been using it.
Okay. Yeah, the Icon Factory, they're a great developer.
Yes.
They got a lot of other great apps too. No, good pick. And then your second pick?
My second pick, this is a pick that's available in SetApp. So if you want to grab it from there. Right yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is a Mac app, but the reason I picked it is because in addition to giving you data about your Mac's charge on its battery, it will give you the charge for all the other Apple gear that connects via Bluetooth. So, so I have a list in my menu bar showing me the charge level on my iPhone and all of my iPads in one place. And if one of those devices' batteries gets low, then I'll get a little notification on screen on my Mac letting me know, so I can make sure I go and plug in that iPad. So it's a great tool for keeping track of the battery level on all your devices. And I tried it out just on a whim when it was added to SetApp, which is one of the great things about SetApp, because you can do that.
Yes.
And that whim, about 10 minutes after I installed it, I realized, no, this isn't a whim. This is a permanent place in my menu bar now.
That's awesome. All right. And then I've got 2 apps. My first one is actually from our friends at Adobe, because, of course, we love Adobe, right? Adobe Photoshop Camera. They actually came out, they've jumped into the smart capture camera world with camera apps. They say it's an intelligent camera app that lets you add the best filters and effects to your photos. So again, another way of being able to take pictures. You got some real-time Photoshop effects that you can do when you take the pictures within it. It does work with social media, so they've really gone in and done a lot of stuff here. And it is actually absolutely free. And then really the only in-app purchase that they have here is if you wanted to have Creative Cloud storage. Who needs that when you've got storage? So honestly, this is free, which is great, because that's unusual for Adobe. They always want to charge for something here. But you do have a pretty powerful camera here, and I just found out about this today, so I have not had a lot of time to play with it, but wanted to be as an app pick this week so you could check it out. But this is a Photoshop camera, and it's Adobe. We've got a link in the show notes for that, as well as all of our picks. And this one I actually found out about today as well. This is our friend Mr. Mike LaPlante posted this in the Mac Voices Facebook group. This is an audio app. It's called Dolby On, recording audio and video. And what it does is it actually it's the only free audio recorder and sound editor for voice, music, video, and more, with the cutting edge Dolby audio technology. So this has got some pretty interesting things here with audio editing. I'm impressed here. I mean, it's got the ezzing and stereo widening, and you can do a lot of effortless audio perfection. I wonder if I should edit the podcast in this app, I'll tell you. So you've got a lot of great things with the audio, sharing your voice and music recordings to fans. You can do it right from to SoundCloud to Instagram or Facebook, and you can live stream from it. This is a pretty powerful app, and I can't believe this thing is free, absolutely free. This is made by Dolby
cool.
Laboratories. Yeah, this is phenomenal. I mean, and again, I just found out about it today. Thanks, Mike. Shout out to Mike LaPlante for putting this out there, because I'm so glad I put this as an app pick here. So
Mike is great.
So he is great, and I miss having him on. I'm gonna have him back on the show again soon here. Those are my two app picks. I think that's great. Did you have anything, Warren?
No, I think Dolby was a Fraggle. Just
Dolby. My tongue.
I know, but I think
Dolby.
It might have been one of them sounds like a Fraggle. All right, no, these are good. I'm gonna. I like the idea of the photo one, the first one, Adobe, because I gotta look at it. I'll do it for the next show. I did download something, and I'll talk about it. Basically, it takes a picture that it's optimized. It's to create wallpapers for your phone is what it is, and it's basically the photo app that makes it look good on your iPhone. I'll get the. We'll talk about that next week. I like it.
Next show, yeah. Yep. And with that, we've all learned so many great things today. Things we all didn't know. So I'm so glad that I had you on the show today. We're gonna go ahead and wrap things up, and we'll be right back with you here. But yes, let's wrap things up here. That is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios, and you can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But the best place to go is go to our website at intouchwithios.com. All the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. Warren, where can they find you?
That's not important. That's Jeff.
Facebook.
You can find them. Yeah, Facebook is good.
Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. And tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, first, thanks for having me on. This has been a lot of fun.
A blast.
And I'm actually tied up in Warren's closet right now. Please send help.
You and a few other people. So.
Yeah, it's getting crowded in here. But you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Jay Gamet, both places.
All right, Jeff. Thanks again for being here. Really appreciate it.
This has been awesome. Thank you.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And thanks everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. And we'll be back again next time, and we'll talk again soon.